What's up, everyone? Tara Roberts here with 444, and we are talking wide receiver trade targets for week 7. Before we get started, be sure to like this video and subscribe. And if you want more fantasy insights and tips, head over to 444.com/plans and sign up for a subscription today. And exclusively for our YouTube audience, use promo code YouTube at checkout to save 25%. Now let's go ahead and dive right in with our first player, DJ Moore. There's obviously a lot of panic that is happening right now around Justin Fields and his injury. A thumb injury to your throwing hand is definitely eye-raising, but from everything that I have seen, it doesn't look like this is something that is going to be a long-term threat rather than a short-term 2 to 3 week issue. Fields should be back, and it is undeniable that DJ Moore is his favorite target. Moore is a buy candidate for me because he'll have massive upside when Fields is back healthy and in good matchups, and he'll be a wide receiver 2, just a standard wide receiver 2 when Fields is in bad matchups or with somebody else at quarterback. He's played with bad quarterbacks before. And the positive side here as well, and why I'm so good with buying the dip on DJ Moore, is that if Fields is out for a couple of weeks, while I have zero faith in Tyson Bagent, at least the matchups are against Las Vegas and the Chargers. Moore can still be productive with a bad quarterback in those type of matchups. Moving on to our next player, Amari Cooper. Amari Cooper's stats as a whole are underwhelming. He's checking in at a low-end wide receiver 3. You can't exactly cherry pick statistics because if you do that with one player, you'd have to start doing it all across the board for other players. But I can't help but notice how much better Cooper's stats would look if that Dorian Thompson-Robinson game just didn't exist. Cooper had 1 catch for 16 yards in that game, and not a single player had a good game in that game. It was just an absolute disaster. DTR just wasn't ready to play, and that's a true scenario where there is nothing that any receiver can do when a rookie quarterback just isn't ready in a bad matchup. Without that game, Amari Cooper is averaging out more to a top 20 receiver. Things did stabilize with PJ Walker at quarterback, and Deshaun Watson will return at some point. Cooper is a solid wide receiver 2 that you can buy on a discount right now and reap the benefits of his proven production. For this next one, I'm cheating a little bit because this is a wide receiver trade targets video, but hey, Mark Andrews is essentially a wide receiver, so I'm going to allow it here. This isn't really a buy low because Mark Andrews is the tight end 4 in total points in PPR and tight end 2 in average points per game. He's had just 1 game below 10 fantasy points. He's had a solid season thus far, but when I look around, the general sentiment around Mark Andrews with fantasy managers, it seems to be that people are underwhelmed by his performance. He has the ability to get you those George Kittle type of boom games, but he has the floor to never actually ruin your fantasy day. That is a luxury. Andrews may not be the flashy option at tight end while others are making big moves, but his level of consistency is impeccable. With this next receiver, Jordan Addison, I will admit I was wildly underwhelmed by the offense that Minnesota put out in week 6. And I was very disappointed in the fact that we didn't really see Jordan Addison rise to a true lead within that Vikings receiving core. But I think we have to look at the positive here and understand why, if there's one piece of this Vikings offense outside of Justin Jefferson that you want to invest in, it is Jordan Addison. Addison did have the most productive day in the receiving core from a fantasy perspective with 11.8 fantasy points, 3 receptions on 5 targets, 28 yards, but he did get the touchdown, safe to say. The Vikings have a miserable matchup next week in San Francisco, and then they face teams with tough secondaries for 3 straight weeks. The road ahead without Justin Jefferson, it's bleak. I'm not going to lie to you. But Addison should continue to have this strong touchdown equity and push forward as the leader of the receiving core. And if and when Justin Jefferson does return, Addison will have established himself as the second look in this offense, and things will gel better with Jefferson back. This final player is kind of short and sweet here. T. Higgins. He is frustrating, but it's still T. Higgins, and it's still Joe Burrow that's throwing to him. This has been an absolute nightmare start to the season for him. Joe Burrow struggled playing through that calf injury, and the entire offense really just struggled as a result. Then T. Higgins suffered a rib injury, so the start of the season for him has included a 0 fantasy point game, a game where he only played for half of the snaps because he got injured, a game where he missed the game completely, and then a game where he came back onto the field but was again limited, recovering from the injury, only around 50% of snaps and minimally targeted. That is awful. I'm not going to deny that. But again, this is T. Higgins, healthy, in a good offense with Joe Burrow. He is an elite receiver. That will come. He has just 149 yards through 6 games and is on a bye week. That is not typical T. Higgins production. His fantasy manager is likely struggling and very angry. So use this to your advantage and kindly offer to take T. Higgins off of their hands and give them something that they can actually use this week. And that wraps things up. Thank you for watching the video. Be sure to like the video and comment below as well. And if you want more fantasy insights and tips, head over to 444.com/plans and sign up for a subscription today. And exclusively for our YouTube audience, use promo code YouTube at checkout to save 25%.